Had a message from a member of the audience asking if, in effect, I take pride in the comedy videos I create, in the political satire, in the music videos I now create. Music that, in general, incorporates elements of both parody and satire. Um, if I take pride in these things in the same sense that I once took pride in studying the Cambodian language, being engaged with Cambodian politics, Cambodian history, and doing humanitarian work in Cambodia. My perspective on this as an adult is very different from what it was as a young man because my understanding of what research is different. Um, Research can be undertaken to change who the researcher is, who you are. So you are studying the history of Spanish colonialism just so that you can be a better person, so you can understand what's going on, or indeed so you can make a difference in politics in your own life. Just very brief example, you may have grown up with left-wing propaganda about the history of Spanish colonialism, and in undertaking this research, it's going to be in part a critique of and a debunking of that left-wing propaganda. You may have grown up with right-wing propaganda, with justifications and excuses offered by the Catholic Church, and then this research is going to be a debunking of that, and you are going to become a better person through that research. That's one way to view research. But the other aspect of research is, of course, to take something unknown and make it known, to walk out into the darkness, grab something unknown, and then drag it back into the light for all the world to see. So you look at a political problem such as prostitution in Cambodia. Almost none of the research intends to take something unknown and make it known. None of it is, in this sense, sincere and well-intentioned research. And certainly, almost nobody involved is engaged in research in order to become a better person themselves, have a more enlightened or sophisticated perspective themselves. Instead, you get sort of one hatchet job or another, justifying one political agenda or another. A feminist group will have one agenda. A Catholic group will have another. Catholic charities, right-wing charities, the United Nations, different partner agencies, different governments. So I'll ask you this. What would be more meaningful? If you're the person who has to earn money doing this, you're not in the position of a real multimillionaire like Bill Gates who can fund research, pay for research. Sort of an interesting, different question. If you are trying to earn a living, or you have to do this in your spare time while you're teaching English as a second language to earn a living, you have some other humble job. If you are going to engage with this issue, is it more meaningful to attempt to do research on the problem of prostitution in Cambodia or comedy? It's very easy for me to imagine satire, parody, comedy, dealing with the delusions of the United Nations partner agencies, dealing with the corruption of the police, dealing with the well-intentioned but misguided attitudes of feminists, people in the charity sector, and then dealing also with the attitudes of the prostitutes themselves, the attitudes of French men on vacation, married men from France, and the excuses they make for their own involvement in the prostitution industry in Cambodia, so on and so forth. I mean, it's really a very rich minefield to wander into for comedy. It's very easy for me to imagine a film, a movie, but even a novel, satirizing, making comedy out of that really matters, that really makes a difference. And it is impossible for me to imagine research making any difference. Now, so again, this is not a critique of research, but what this is, for the viewer, for whoever's watching this video right now, I'm wanting to return you to the fundamental question of what am I going to do with the next 5 years of my life? What is the difference I can make in the world? And the answer to that won't be the same for everyone. It won't be the same for Bill Gates as it is for you, so on and so forth. But I think this illustrates really well this sort of deep division between the social sciences and the creative arts, even though they are powerfully linked in many ways. Now, sorry, to return to the question posed by the member of the audience. I take a tremendous pride. I have a tremendous sense of accomplishment in a video that Melissa and I made together, titled "Lauren Southern is Still a Nazi." In some ways, that was very little work. I had already put in all the work. I'd already done all the preparation with editing the video clips together. That was many hours of work to get the video element of it. And then one day we were at the grocery store together, and the chorus just came to me suddenly. We were there at the checkout line. I just thought, oh, that's what it has to be. The chorus has to be "Lauren Southern is still a Nazi." Now, it is a comedy video. I do think it's funny. I think different people laugh at different elements of the video, like depending on your level of intellectual sophistication. Some people are just going to laugh at kind of visual elements that are funny. Some people are really going to pick up on what's going on politically. But it also is kind of infotainment. If someone clicked on that video who had no former knowledge, no awareness of this controversy about Lauren Southern, it really does inform you. It really does deliver a lot of that information. So again, the amount of time we put into writing the lyrics and recording the vocals was very, very little. It was very brief. It was very fast, and it's a very happy memory for me. And I'm tremendously proud of the finished product. I could say something similar actually about the critique of Hassan Piker, also known as Hassan Abbey, on the issue of the Israel-Palestine conflict. So to me, it's very funny. People at different levels of intellectual sophistication will find different things about it funny. Like it has some jokes that are just about sex. It has jokes about the Bible and Judaism and Christianity and Islam. But, it has hard-hitting points to make about politics. And there also is this kind of infotainment element. Now, when I look back at the men I've known in research and humanitarian work, none of them could make that video. I like Richard Gombrich. I haven't seen him for many, many years, but I would say I'd be very happy to have lunch with Richard Gombrich again, to have dinner with Richard Gombrich. He's just someone whose company I enjoy. Quite apart from, if you in the audience go and read his books, do you really see a lot of value in what Richard Gombrich accomplished as a researcher in his whole lifetime? I'm raising that question skeptically, and now you got to look at your own life and what you're going to do in the next 5 years, and you have to decide if you want to end up like Richard Gombrich. But I got to tell you, Richard Gombrich could never make a comedy video like that, could never do satire like that, he could never sing like that, so on and so forth. And I do really take pride in having made that transition from this kind of book-bound intellectual, this research-centered view of myself as intellectual, this more creative, and I could say disruptive form of satire and comedy. Just another example, I do like as a person, professor I had back at the University of Toronto, Leonard Priestley. He'll be 10 years older now than he was 10 years ago, but, in terms of the man I remember, someone I'd be very happy to have lunch with, happy to have dinner with, happy to talk to, I can look at his lifetime of research, what he accomplished, and, I can say now, as I said back then when I knew him, I don't want to lose my life this way. I don't want to spend my life this way. And yeah, I'll say it, I don't want to waste my life this way. I do not want to do with my life what Leonard Priestley did with his. Again, you may find tremendous value in his work if you go and read the collected work of Leonard Priestley. Many of you watching this video, you really have read my collected work. You've read articles I wrote when I was living in Cambodia, when I was living in Laos, so I was playing that researcher's role. You've seen YouTube videos I've made reflecting on it, and you've seen my YouTube videos through different stages. I understand fully the danger of making these decisions in life on the basis of what you find rewarding personally, what you find entertaining, what you find funny in terms of your sense of comedy, or what you can take pride in. What you take pride in may be a complete waste of your time. But I'm at a crossroads now at age 45 when I can look at the very long hours of painstaking work put into studying the Chinese language. And I can feel that this was a complete waste of my talent, a total waste of my ability. It's going nowhere. It's not setting a basis for anything positive in the future. And it doesn't benefit anyone else. It doesn't change the world in any way whatsoever. This is a tragedy in my life. It's neither the largest nor the smallest tragedy in my life. And when I look at that creative process, there was one comedy video Melissa and I made together, where we got the idea walking home from the grocery store. It's a short walk, by the way. In just a few moments while walking home from the grocery store, we got the idea for this comedy video. We went home, we set up the mic. I think we wrote the lyrics and recorded all the vocals in less than 1 hour. I probably edited the video to the visual elements in less than another hour. Whether it took 3 hours in total, probably spent an hour making the thumbnail. But regardless, some like 3 hour creative process, and we made this political satire comedy video together. And again, this is so rewarding and so meaningful to me. And when I look at that video, the years of work I've put into developing myself as an intellectual, it shows. I can look at that video and I can say, nobody else could have made this video. Nobody else could bring this perspective to the issue, and nobody else could share this in some ways informative, in some ways kind of disruptive and jarring and entertaining view of the issue with the audience in this way, So yeah, that's my long answer to a short and somewhat snide question, I think, from the audience. Devoting yourself to research only makes sense in as much as research is a path of self-development. If you are looking at research as a way to change the world, quit now. Change hats, and if anything, start again in filmmaking, cinematography, or even stand-up comedy.